وللمزيد ينضم إلي من كوبنهاجن السيد أولي هانسن رئيس استراتيجية السلع لدى ساكسو بنك. أولي أهلا وسهلا بك. ما رأيك بمقولة أن الأسواق ربما لم تستغرب الرفض الروسي للخفض وإنما ذهلت برد الفعل السعودي؟
I think no matter how you turn it, both events was a surprise. But then again, maybe not that surprising because we are obviously facing the biggest demand shock since 2009. We are seeing demand is coming down rapidly, and it really was a question of how much OPEC and Russia would be able to stem that price fall at this stage. But there's no doubt in terms of the market reaction that it was the Saudi decision to go all out in a price war on Saturday that created this massive slump that we saw on Monday. So right now supply is rising, demand is falling, and it's obviously a very unhealthy cocktail for the market.
أولي، حرب الأسعار بين المنتجين الثاني والثالث الأكبر للنفط، هل يكون الخاسر فيها هو المنتج الأول أي الأمريكي؟
Well, I think in the short term, everyone is going to lose out. Saudi Arabia needs 80 plus in the price of oil. Russia needs probably in the low 40s. We are way below, especially the Saudi level. But you're also right. The U.S. producers are going to suffer. Just look at some of the credit spreads, the high yield spreads, which are very much a lot of that is from energy. They are spiking at this stage. We are seeing Occidental, a major shale oil producer, cutting their dividend by 90%. It's the first time since 1991 they've done that. It just highlights the level of pressure now applied to the U.S. shale industry. And I think we also, from the U.S. administration, we're now seeing also a sense of nervousness because in the past, a low oil price was good for U.S. consumers, not so much anymore because it's almost a 50-50 now whether it's good or bad for the U.S. economy. I think overall it's a negative for U.S. growth. So we could see potentially a drop in U.S. production, and that may lead to a normalization sooner than expected.
عند أي مستويات سعرية وفي أي مدى زمني يمكن أن تبدأ أثار الصدمة بالظهور في حقول صناعة النفط الأمريكية؟
Well, I was just looking at a survey from the Dallas Fed yesterday, and they had a survey carried out just a few weeks ago, and out of the 87 energy producers that took part in this survey, none of them had break-even levels for new products below the current price level. So just on that basis, any new production at this stage is not profitable. So that will have an impact. For existing producers, we're still seeing some of the major players more or less making money at these levels, but we could see the potential for production dropping by at least 1 million barrels over the coming months if we stay at these lower levels.
طيب، في هذه الأثناء ما هي الاستراتيجيات التي يمكن أن يتبناها اللاعبون متعددون في قطاع الطاقة في المدى المنظور؟
Well, first and foremost, as the revenues drop dramatically, they also have to cut their expenses. So we'll see that, I'm sure, both in the Middle East and also in Russia, that some of the budgets will be tightened because the amount of money available is coming down. The big question, obviously, I think at this stage related to Saudi Arabia is whether they are basically just trying to do a shock and awe here, because the big price discount they announced for April, that could obviously already be reversed in May. But it's clearly they want to make a statement now that enough is enough, and they're not going it alone, and they need Russia on board if any future production cuts should be agreed.
هل ترى بأن روسيا في عجلة من أمرها لإصلاح الأمور؟
Well, we saw yesterday, according to reports, that Fali, the former energy minister in Saudi Arabia, had been called in to hold discussions or at least conversations with Novak, his former counterpart in Russia. It does indicate that the lines are still open, and that could obviously lead to a sudden breakthrough. But obviously Russia is not in the same. I don't think they're in a hurry, because we also have to remember, while the currencies in the Middle East are pegged to the dollar. The ruble isn't. So the ruble has weakened almost around 20% so far this year, and that obviously helped reducing some of the pain from low oil prices in dollars. So that probably needs to be taken into account as well. But if I may also just add, if we look at some of the reports coming out right now from forecasters and analysts, they're looking for oil potentially dropping into the 20s. There's no doubt, based on the current numbers that we're seeing with supply going up, demand going down, that can happen. But we also have to remember crude oil is one of the most politically influenced markets in the world, and really all it takes is a phone call and we could have a new situation. So I'm not going to rule that out, and on that basis we may potentially have seen the low in crude oil already.
أولي، ختاما، هل يمكن أن تشرح للمشاهدين باختصار لماذا أدى انهيار أسعار النفط إلى بث الذعر في كافة الأسواق على كافة مستويات الأصول المالية؟
It's covering losses. It's adapting to a new situation because the market, just like in 2014, had the belief that Saudi Arabia, or the OPEC led by Saudi Arabia, would support the price by cutting production. The big difference compared to, say, 14 and now is the fact that back in 2014, demand was still going up. So it's only a question of adjusting supply in order to change supply in order to have a big reaction in the market. This time round, we have demand going down at the same time as the supply is going up. And while oil producers can control supply by adjusting production up and down, they cannot control demand. And that's why the market is so nervous right now, because we just simply don't know the full impact of the coronavirus, especially if we're going to see a major breakthrough or escalation in the US, the world's biggest consumer of energy. Sorry, that was a too long answer.
من كوبنهاجن السيد أولي هانسن، رئيس استراتيجية السلع لدى ساكسو بانك، شكرا جزيلا لك.